ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Just hold it like that.
Like this? Okay.
Okay.
Is that tall enough? Can you see?
You can sit on your lap. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. So, out of all the countries in the world, the U.S. has the highest rate of pregnancy and STDs in adolescent adults, as stated by Public Schools Review. I've read and analyzed many articles on this great debate of sexual education. As a recent high school graduate and current college student majoring in psychology, I have seen how the absence of sex ed has affected and ruined many young lives. Overall, politicians, parents, teachers, and even the students themselves need to think about the security and benefit of sex ed. Today, I'm going to persuade you that sex ed needs to be required in all secondary schools for the benefit of knowledge and safety for our children. Sex ed is a class normally provided by secondary schools which educate teenage students about matters of maturity, such as puberty, sex, relationships, self-esteem, self-identity, gender, STDs, pregnancy, drugs, alcohol, violence, and overall responsibility and protection. Unfortunately, much debate is occurring in restricting the educational process of sex ed in schools because it is seen as an inappropriate subject. I will be discussing the importance of sex ed, and I will not be instructing actual sex ed curriculum to you. Nowadays, between social media and TV, sex, complex relationships, nudity, various forms of sexuality is everywhere. Adolescence and the process of puberty is a complicated, fragile, and confusing time in everyone's life. It is easy for teenagers to be misled or possibly confused by media content. As stated by Society for the Study of Emerging Adulthood, the human brain does not fully develop until at least 25 years of age, which is the age of which the adolescent stage ends and adulthood stage begins. Cognitive reasoning, problem solving, concept of death and disaster, and the course of cause and effect is not as apparent in the brains of adolescents as it is in adults. Developmental essentials need to be placed over community and parental ethics. Coming from a life of strictly Sesame Street and chicken nuggets, teenagers do not and will not understand the consequences, complications, and overall effect of sexual relationships, drugs, alcohol, and generally anything. Sex ed mostly promotes abstinence, which is the saving yourself to marriage ideal, over sexual and fertility protection. Abstinence is not an accurate resolution to teen pregnancy and STDs, but it is not a negative solution either. According to that article, sex education in schools needs an upgrade. Only 10 schools promote healthy relationships over abstinence. Healthy relationships are positive and inclusive reinforcements in a teenager's life, including the use of condoms and or birth control and also the gain of emotional support from peers. By promoting healthy relationships and sexual protection, schools are promoting a more relative solution to the youth's safety. I'm not saying hand out condoms and tell kids to go to town, but the community needs to promote safety over ethics by educating and making certain protection methods and resources accessible. Teenagers need emotional and psychological support throughout their young adulthood, so sex ed must encourage positive self-esteem, identity, and protection. In the article, It's 2018, It's Time to Update Sex Ed, a survey showed that over 50% of high school students, boys and girls across the U.S., reported being sexually harassed before the age of 18. These students did not know what sexual harassment was nor the definition of consent, so these incidences were never reported. Bullying is unfortunately a very popular way for some teens to handle their emotions, which can negatively impact others greatly. These young victims of violence need to be educated on emotional management and fortification. By doing this, we're supporting positive relationships, emotions, and behavior, which benefits everyone. From the NPR article, How Schools Can Reduce Sexual Violence, many state governments are encouraging a movement known as #MeToo, which promotes a broad spectrum of informative lessons including safety, violence prevention, anti-bullying programs, and emotional support. If you have children in school, please support this movement and sex ed. I appreciate the parents' role in educating their children on this subject matter, but unfortunately many teens lack this support. Many schools offer parents to participate in educating young adults or even organizing lesson plans, so volunteer and support this movement. Today I persuaded you that sex ed needs to be required in all secondary schools. Teenagers need the support of security and knowledge that is not being provided for them, so please speak out about this issue and inform parents, teachers, and even young adults about this subject. We as a community need to spread knowledge to everyone over this matter. By educating our community's youth, we are saving the lives of young adults and even future generations. Okay, cool. And then I need to show you guys something.
Yay.